Something that's been really hard for me to come to terms with is I really have no natural talent when it comes to anything. And it's to the point where if I don't put hundreds to maybe even thousands of hours into whatever I'm trying to get better at, then I will never get better. For example, like a lot of the games that I play, right, there might be a baseline, natural skill transfer over from game to game if I've played similar games to like that in the past. But I am probably the person, that you think is an NPC when they're playing, when I'm getting into a brand new type of game. And it's always so strange to me, when I see people complaining about not being able to rank up or something of that sort, because, like, for me, I am so bad at 99% of the games that I play. Like, I mean, bad to a level where you question how you got to where you're at in that game. And it just happened like that a lot until I hit thousands and thousands of hours on these games, and then I eventually developed that talent over time. But I have never been naturally really good at FPS games or naturally really good at strategy games. It's like if I win because of just luck, like 90% of the time. And that's something that always really irritated me because I am a competitive person, whether that comes to video games or it comes to doing something in real life or anything like that, right? I am overall just a competitive person. So coming to terms with having no talent is very, very hard. But I also think it's a important learning stage of someone's life because if you truly have no talent, right, like you just don't have a natural niche for things, a natural nick, I guess you could say, then it's one of those things where you have to actively make the decision if you want to be bad or not at that point. Because I don't believe no natural talent means that you will be bad forever. No natural talent just means you're not going to be slightly better than a, maybe a day one person, essentially. Like people with natural talent, I'm sure people that watch this video will know who I'm talking about. You can think of a couple people where you're like, okay, yeah, that guy is kind of a natural talent for that thing. I mean, if we look at it, people like Shroud, right? Like Shroud is really good at FPS games, and he kind of has a natural talent to pick up FPS games. And a part of that was because the environment he was bred in is like just how it is. And I think at the end of the day, I guess like maybe my natural talent would be like storytelling, if I would have to guess. Like I've been telling stories since I was a kid, and I think the reason for that is because I just didn't have anything. So like I had to use my imagination all the time, whether it was playing Dungeons and Dragons or going outside or something like that. Because we didn't have internet, we didn't have uh, really any luxuries. It's like the highest luxury we had was like the big 200-pound box TV with we would play like DVDs on. And it was just always so strange to me. I feel like it ate me up inside, I guess you could say, with jealousy that everybody was so much more talented than I was. But then I realized that hard work beats talent most of the time. And I know that's a phrase that people have said time and time again that hard work beats talent, but I am probably living in that aspect right now where there is so many people more talented at things than me, but I am putting in so much more work. And anybody can do this. I think that's the beautiful thing about putting in so much work is anybody can do it. Not just me, not just Jim Bob down the street, not just anyone who watches this video, but even the people with that natural talent can do it. And I would say people like, let's say, like Michael Jordan, right? Kind of had a natural talent, I guess you could say, for basketball, but with that talent, he polished it. He made it 10 times better. Where there's 10 million times more people who don't do that. And you see it all the time going back to kind of like video games. You see it all the time with video games where people maybe are really, really good, but they refuse to do like simple things that could make them better. They refuse to do a warm up game. They refuse to hit a practice range. They just refuse to play against anyone harder, more difficult, or anything like that, and it kind of nerfs them a little bit, I guess you could say. And I have friends like this too, where like genuinely they do have natural talents at the games that like we play, but they just don't want to polish it, and it makes me so unbelievably jealous. I'll say because like I started getting into Escape from Tarkov about 2 years ago, basically. Escape from Tarkov is a high learning curve game. There's so much in the game you have to learn about. You have to learn noises. You have to learn how to build kits. You have to learn like different maps. You got to learn extracts. There's 5 billion things to learn. It took me probably 500 hours into the game before I started to develop any sort of skill in that game. And that was like actively watching YouTube videos, playing the game every day, like going pretty hardcore into it. So, like, I do wish that there was a level of natural talent I was blessed with, but I think I'm also a little grateful that I'm not. Because when I'm good at something, it's not like, oh, well, you're just good because, like, you're naturally good. I have some friends that people have said that argument to them before. But for me, it's so funny because people will be like, well, I don't have all day to play. And I'll be like, bro, I've been playing this game for years. It took me 4 years to get to this skill level. And I have friends that will say that, for like Siege or something like that. They'll be like, well, I don't have all day to play to get good. But it's like, neither did I. When I was back in high school, I think I played for like 4 hours max on Siege or something like that. And I didn't even start getting good until I moved over to PC because my hands physically could not understand how to move on a controller. Like I could play games, but I was playing as if I never touched a controller before, like all of the time. And I think that's something else that people don't realize is sometimes like your brain and how your body functions just doesn't function that way, you know? Like like I love soccer, for example. Some fun facts never talked about on the show. So I love soccer. I played soccer for a couple of years. Like I'm good at soccer, I'll say, but I'm just like not built for it, like at all. Like my body, the way that it's the way that I am in general, I'm not built for it. And I think that's one of the hardest things to realize. A lot of times, what people would consider to be a natural talent is actually just pure genetics. And it's not really, oh, well, they understand it easier or something like that. A lot of the time, it really does come down to how well your hands function, how lengthy your body parts are, or something like that. And obviously, a lot of this stuff could be overcame with hard work at the end of the day, but you're gonna have to work 10 times harder than anyone else, and that's something really really hard to deal with. Knowing that you'll have to work 10 times harder than Joe Schmo next to you, especially when Joe Schmo doesn't care and he's doing better than you. Like that infuriates me to a different level. But yeah, this is really all I want to talk about today because it's something that I think about a lot with games in general. It's why I have a hard time getting into games because I know that like I'm gonna have to put a unfathomable amount of time into it if I actually want to get good at the game and not just be like okay or subpar. So yeah, but thank you guys so much for watching and have a wonderful night. Peace.